Hello, everyone. Welcome to your latest Wolves Fancast episode. I'm your host, Little Dan, and I can only apologise for that last 46 seconds of your life having to listen to that. This is what happens when Rich Hobbs vacates the building. I lose control of my senses. Thanks for joining us on the Wolves Fancast tonight. The latest news that broke about half an hour ago was that Wolves had bid for Johan Wissa with a fee of £25 million with add-ons. Within the last handful of minutes, the fun police, Liam Keane, has broke the news that apparently that is not true and Wolves have not placed a bid nor have any interest in the Brentford forward at this time. But as you know, in football, things do change by the hour. So make sure you follow us at Wolves Fancast for all the latest news, lols and trolls. And this episode is in association with Sports Social Podcast Network and fcquiz.app. On tonight's episode, I've got with me Josh Lem, Tom Baker, Rich Griff, Ed and Andy to talk about the latest news, including Fabio Silva maybe about to end his torrid time at Wolves with a move to one of Genoa, Wolfsburg, Las Palmas, or maybe Bushbury Hill, if they can come in with a fee that Wolves are willing to accept for the Portuguese striker. It's got to a point now with Fabio, Andy, that we've all persevered with him. We all wanted him to be the number 9 that Porto and Jorge Mendes sold us the dream, but for his career and the sake of this club, he needs to leave.
Yeah, it's time, isn't it? I mean, 12 months ago, we were all like fucking raring for this kid to hit the ground running. He'd had a good year away from the club. He's coming back. He's got the number 9 shirt. He's going to tear it up. And he just didn't, did he? Like, he couldn't do anything right when he came on, and then he ended up getting farmed out, and he couldn't do anything right in a fucking pub league. So, yeah, he needs to just leave now and hopefully resurrect his career elsewhere.
Agree. I had a bit of not even a debate really. It was a quick shutdown of that Wolves First today on Twitter, who said we just need to just sell him permanently this summer. I came back with, we can't force people to buy him. He's not pulled up any trees where he's gone on loan. He didn't even play in the number 9 role for Rangers on loan last season. So how can we force a team to permanently take him off our hands? It's a situation that's got out of hand. We spent a lot of money on this striker, Ed, and hopefully Genoa can get the deal over the line. Apparently Genoa have given Wolves the sort of 48 hours to make a decision on this loan with an option deal. So do you think that a loan with an option is the way forward, or should Wolves just come to some sort of mutual agreement with Fabio Silva and cut ties permanently?
I think what we need to do is get someone to do a YouTube highlight reel of his game against Blackpool. And if we just show that from about 17 different angles, that might sell him to someone.
We need Jeffrey Majanjibi as YouTube director.
Yeah, or Sami Al-Jabir before YouTube, or we've got countless of them, haven't we, that we thought was going to be the next big thing. He needs to be gone, doesn't he? I think one way or the other. The best deal we can get for him is all we can ask for now. So whether that's a loan, whether that's we take even more of a hit and just sell him straight away. But like Andy said, he didn't even pull trees up in a 1.5 team league to do last year. So his attitude seems to stink, and he's not gone the way Luke said he should go. He's gone with cornrows now, hasn't he? Rather than getting he's got the tattoos, but he didn't sort out the hair. That's the problem. Is the opposite of Samson.
It's all down to that. If he would have followed Luke's guidebook, we wouldn't have had this issue now. One player who I did see on his social media yesterday who has gone for cornrows, Raul Jimenez, and I'll go out on a limb, yeah, Andy. If you go on Raul Jimenez's Instagram, he has currently got cornrows, and similar to Fabio Silva, he looks fucking. I was going to say hideous, but it just looks comedic. Raul, stick to playing with your anime toys. Cornrows is not the way forward for you. The other news that came out in the last sort of 24 hours is that Wolves have strong interest in the Crystal Palace goalkeeper Sam Johnston, who has been stripped of the number 1 jersey at Crystal Palace by head coach Oliver Glasner. As our resident goalkeeper, Rich, what are your thoughts on former Aston Villa and former West Brom goalkeeper Sam Johnston being a possible signing for the club?
He's England. He's in the England setup, isn't he? That's the only way you can look at it. He must be semi-decent. He's been a number one in the Prem, but we've just got to take the Albion side out of it and pretend he hasn't played there. But he's obviously a decent keeper, but it's probably not on our list because everyone will say Sar's better. But yeah, he is. But does Sar want to be here? Maybe. Is he going to go? Who knows? Does Johnson want to be here? Is it another smoke and mirrors exercise from people digging for, because they know Sar potentially wants to go somewhere? But do we want him? Probably not. They don't. The same as Ramsdale, isn't it? Being a supposed Albion fan, they don't want him because of that. But it's no different to Bully playing for Albion and signing him or backing them. So it is what it is. Get him in.
We discussed this on Sunday's show. Steve Bull did not play for Albion. That was Stephen Bull.
Well,
we need to get this clear down on paper, black and white. Steve Bull did not play for the Albion. That was his alter ego, Stephen Bull. Tom, how are you? Looking good in that old Wolves top again. My shirt size yet again, Tom.
Yeah, always buy a size too small. I've told you this. Yeah, I'm good. Happy to be here.
What was your sort of thoughts on the links to Johan Wissa that came out of sort of nowhere today?
You know what? When I saw him play Molineux, he looks like a nice little tricky player. I thought he could be a good signing. He's just different. Very well, how he came across when I saw him play live was different to Neto. Neto's a lot more direct. So we seem to be going for that counter-attack fast. And so I'd probably argue he's slightly different, but I'd back it. I feel like I think there's a lot worse signings that you could do. 25 million, yeah, seems a little punchy, but yeah, I mean, what I would probably question is why would Brentford let him go?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I know you're not much of a fighter, Josh, but when Tom's saying it's a bit punchy, what's your feelings on £25 million for Wissa? Should we even be talking about Wissa if Fun Police Keane's already ruined it? £25 million, Josh,
He did say we're big fans of him now, so I wouldn't rule it out. I guess he's 24 hours behind every time, isn't he? I think it's about right. You know, he's got 12 Premier League goals. So
25 million for 12 Premier League goals?
We want 30 million for Hwang, and he's
Hwang only got 12 last season. But if you look, they're both sort of similar on their sort of success ratio for shots to goal. I'm not sure. Someone might be able to sort of clarify this in the comment section, or one of you when you're on your phone. But apparently, Hwang scored 12 goals from 18 shots last season. If someone can verify that, that's worth £30 million in my books. And Wissa got 12 goals for sort of similar stats last season. If someone else looks at that. I think £25 million probably the going rate for
domestic signing. It'd be nice to have a domestic signing for once. I don't know, you know, they're overly stocked up front. I can see why he's entering his prime. I can see why they want to move him on. Tony on the books, and he's probably not going to get a move. And Burmo, Keane, Lewis Potter, Sharda, they've just signed Carvalho. It makes sense, doesn't it? That Thiago is out injured. They need to sell probably, and it's and I think it's good business from us. And if you're at the point now, I trust Hobbs and O'Neill. If they want him, you get him in.
That was the comment that Gary O'Neill made after the game on Sunday, wasn't it? That they've now got to go out and get ready-made Premier League players who know how the business is done. And I think Wissa sort of fits that profile. He's in a good age bracket in his career. He's had a good season last season for Brentford. I feel like he's never going to be first or second choice under Thomas Frank. It appears that Ivan Toney's probably going to stay, in my eyes, until at least January. I don't feel there's been a significant fee that's coming from this summer transfer window. So I think he'll end up going in January when Brentford have to cash in on him when he's coming towards his last 6 months of his contract. So we'll see how that goes. But as I said, Fun Police Keane's already ruined that. So we'll probably end up signing, flipping. I was going to say Chris Wood, but Nottingham Forest aren't letting Chris Wood go. He's been on fire for them recently, and we all knew I was a fan of Chris Wood. On tonight's show, obviously, we're going to be talking about the weekend's game away to Arsenal, but predominantly we're going to be talking about our feelings and thoughts on our predictions for the 24-25 season. And as we've just been talking about Johan Wissa and the hope that if he does sign for Wolves, he brings a lot of goals, I'm starting tonight with the prediction round of who is going to finish top goal scorer for Wolves this season. I'm going to come to you first, Tom. Who are you campaigning for to finish top goal scorer this season?
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo Gomez, based on Strand Larsen being the linchpin, that he's the glue that brings these chances together.
Yeah, from what I've seen, getting in at the back post, getting into the mixer, getting in direct, quick. Larson running front post, holding it up. I think I'm going for him, and I want him to do it as well because he looks good. He looks exciting. So if he can hit the ground running, bish bash bosh, top scorer for me.
Josh, where's your money on? I was looking on Odds Checker earlier on today, and for our top goal scorer market, obviously Mateus Cunha leads the race. Best odds you can get on Mateus Cunha to finish top goal scorer is 13-8, followed by Hee-Chan Wang at 5-2, and then it goes Jorgen Larsson, and then Pablo Sarabia. If you're a man that likes to bet on stupid things like me, you can get Daniel Podence at 25-1 to finish top goal scorer. And there is still a possibility that he may stay at Wolves this season. And we all know he loves scoring. Josh, your thoughts, top goal scorer?
If you'd have asked me this time last week, I said Strand Larsen. But after watching the lack of service he got Saturday, I'm going to go Cunha.
Cunha, like I said, you can get best odds of 13-8 with 888 Sports.
You wouldn't have Podence in your top 25 goal scorers for us, mate. And we're only going to play 20 players this season.
There may be a possible chance here that he doesn't get sold pretty much early into the window. He plays in the Carabao Cup against someone like whoever. We play Fleetwood in the second round of the Carabao Cup, and Podence scores 8 in one game. And there's your 25-1. Get yourself on Daniel Podence each way to finish top goal scorer this season. Andy, Cunha and Rodrigo Gomez, early runners on this prediction round. What are you going for?
I don't think I can look past Wang, to be honest. Danny P in the chat has said that he got 12 goals, 17 shots on target, 44 shots in total. Like, he is kind of deadly when he's given the ball in those positions, and I feel like Strand Larsen is probably going to be the link player that's going to bring these in. So if I want anyone in front of goal, it's going to be Wang. Like, he just doesn't miss, does he? He's got an excellent record of it. So I think he's probably our best goal scorer. So I'd stick with him.
He did show his clinical precision last season. Like I said, 12 shots in 12 goals in 17 shots on target is pretty clinical. Danny P is literally the statistician in the comment section. He's saying Johan Wissa, 12 goals in 24 shots on target, which is basically 1 in 2. If we can get them two either side Cunha, basically we've won the league. Ed, your golden boot prediction for the Wolves the old golden boot for Wolves this season.
So I'm going with Cunha. I think picking up the scraps from Strand Larsen, the odd screamer, and I reckon he'll be on penalties as well. So
it's a fair comment. I was going to bring up the penalty option. Rich, where's your money there?
Yeah, I'm with Cunha as well, to be honest. I think he just, with what we've seen from Larsen at the moment, I think he's a great hold-up play, but don't see him as the goal scorer number 9 just yet. And I hope he'll break into that very soon. If he gets double figures with Larsen, we'll be very happy with that, let's be honest. But yeah, we've got to be looking at 12 to 14, maybe 15 for Cunha, then we'll be over the moon, won't we?
Do you have the odds, Dan, for Rodrigo? Do you have the odds for him? Or have I gone a bit wild there?
On the odds checker list that I looked at earlier, they went as far as Mario Lemina at 40-1, and then he's not even on the market yet.
I tell you what, I'm getting a tenner down.
Yeah. Do you remember that one season when like Podence and Neves finished top goal scorer with like 5 goals? There's good money in this Wolves market if you're shrewd, but remember, gamble responsibility. I just mentioned the Carabao Cup, so the next prediction round is where are Wolves going to end their stay in the Carabao Cup this season. Andy, we went a little bit of distance last season in the Carabao Cup. Where do you see us going this year?
Like, the pessimist in me reckons we'll lose to Swindon in the third round on penalties. But I do think we need a good cup run because we'll get to the league position later, but I feel like we need something to keep us going this season. And a good League Cup run, quarterfinals, who knows, maybe even semis. I'll stick my neck and say quarters. I think that's where we'll go this year.
Andy and Rich and Ed to a degree, I'm not sure on Josh and Tom here, but you brought up Swindon in like the League Cup there, and one of my earliest memories of seeing Wolves on Sky TV was a League Cup. I think it might have been a two-leg affair. I'm sure Dominic Foley scored a cracking finish past Frank Talia back in the mid-90s. I digress. Rich, your Carabao Cup prediction.
Yeah, I think the big boys don't take it seriously until the semis and the final, do they? So there's no reason why we can't go for it. But yeah, like I was thinking, Andy said, it's us, and we want to win it. Can we win it? Maybe. Will we? Probably not. But it's all wishful thinking. A couple of rounds, maybe get some goals for maybe some of the younger lads, some confidence. Maybe even Larson get a couple of hat-tricks. Who knows?
Ed?
Yeah, I'd like us to take it seriously because I think, like Rich just said, we don't see the big boys taking it seriously until the business end. So why don't we have a tilt at it? I think we'll talk about the squad a bit later on, obviously, but slightly stronger squad, it feels like on paper. The young lads have got some minutes behind them from last year. So I'm with Andy. Quarters, maybe going for the semis, but obviously with the cups, it all depends on who you get, isn't it? But they're already out of it, so that's one thing out of the way. That's the boogeyman out of the way. So let's go quarters or semis. Why not? Let's take it seriously, I say.
If Newcastle can reach a Carabao Cup final with Loris Karius in goal, I don't see why we can't go all the way. What about your feelings on the Carabao Cup this season, Josh?
I'll probably echo like quarter semis, but I to think we can I feel like the club missed an opportunity last year with what happened in the FA Cup, not having depth. And I feel like that's why we've kind of kept a lot of players and we're not as hastily moving players on because we're trying to have some depth for the cup competitions. And I feel like the players will want to avenge what happened last season as well.
Yeah.
So, I think the Carabao Cup's your better chance, really. So I'll go semi-finals. I'll go optimistic.
Tom, quarters, semi-finals prediction here. Are you keeping the run going?
No, I like what Josh said. I'm going semi-finals, but I think there's something in me that says we go out to Villa. So I'm happy, but I've got a feeling that it might be Villa that knock us out in the semi-finals.
God, it's the PTSD round here. I'm having like Tommy Johnston flipping breaking my heart in the mid-90s now in a quarter final of the
got a feeling.
League Cup.
We'll be close, and then it's all going to go bellies up, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how far we go in the Carabao Cup. I think Gary O'Neill and the players want some form of success, and I think a domestic trophy, even if it's sort of the Carabao Cup, would be a lot for a lot of these players to actually bring towards. I feel like we've been so long without any sort of proper domestic trophy. The Carabao Cup is definitely a competition where we can sort of focus on this year. But the biggest domestic cup in English football still is the FA Cup. We went close last season. I don't really want to bring up that Coventry match too much because it still massively hurts. But Josh, can we go one step further this year, or is it is the Carabao Cup going to be our main domestic run?
I feel like we've had our once every 5 years good FA Cup run, so we'll probably get knocked out in the third round to some shit-ass championship team.
Who's that championship side? Because when it comes up, we can pretend you're like, Mystic Josh.
Bristol City. No, you could, like I say, we never do them back to back, do we? We never have a good cup run back to back. So, time to accept our fate and go out in the third round. Or at this time, we would do that.
Tom, I know with your life, it's easy to be positive when you mention as handsome as you, but Wolves can't win everything, Tom. So are you going for a long? I know, yes, we can, Tom. That's why I got him on his show. He's positive. He's gorgeous. He's got all the elements.
When we got relegated from the Championship, and it was mathematically impossible for us to survive, I still thought we could survive. I still believe that some of the team would get points deducted. Some miracle would take place. That's how I live my life.
FA Cup run, Tom?
It looks like I'm following Josh. I think we'll go out earlier in that. I think we've had a good stint in it. It's probably going to be a little bit of a sour taste because there was some serious PTSD from that Coventry match. So I think FA Cup earlier on, we'll have a longer run in the Carabao Cup semi-finals. Hopefully I'm wrong and we knock out Villa, and then we'll have a nice steady Premier League finish, and that'll be good. That'll be a good season.
And the 2 FA Cup semi-finals in our lifetime now. Can we go one step further?
Mate, I would love for us to win the World Cup, the FA Cup before I die. I don't know what it is, but that's like my fucking dream to do it. But as Josh pointed out, when have you ever had 2 good back-to-back FA Cup runs? Like, it just doesn't seem to happen, does it? And I think if we go in the League Cup, I don't think we do the FA Cup. We seem to keep drawing Liverpool early doors. I think Liverpool might be one of the teams who might have a year of transition, so they will go for a cup this year. And I reckon we'll get knocked out 3rd round because we'll be unlucky enough to draw somebody like Liverpool.
Yeah, VAR will probably do us at Anfield again because 6-time European champions Liverpool haven't got a camera in the stadium to verify that a goal's onside. Ed, can we win the FA Cup this season?
I think it all depends on where we are in January when the 3rd round draw comes to, no matter who we get. Because if we are, mid-table, comfortable, we can have a tilt at it. But if we're lower, then maybe not. But I'm not over Bolton. I'm not over Arsenal in '98, so I'm not over Coventry yet. So
I was there, Arsenal '98 flashback. Wow.
So I'd like us to try and kill some demons and maybe get to another quarters or semi-final, but I don't see it. Not if we're going in the League Cup.
That was at Villa Park, wasn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it was. On ITV.
Literally, my 11th birthday that day, and Christopher Ray still haunts me at night. He's like Slimer in Ghostbusters when he comes through the wall to startle me every night. Christopher Ray is. Rich, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. We all want the FA Cup more than the Carabao Cup. What's your prediction for Wolves in the FA Cup this season? Because Ed's right, to be fair, we're all predicting way early now, but say we are mid-table come January, do you see us going one step further than the quarters?
Yeah, again, I'm similar to what Ed said, actually. Yeah, if we're mid-table and looking like we're cruising, then yeah, I think we'll go for it and go deep. But if we're panicking and we're, bottom 4, 5, 6, thinking, looking over our shoulder, it gets tricky. You tend to set it up so you don't want to lose a game rather than go win a game. So for me, yeah, I'd love to go deep into the comp, but like you said again before, we don't tend to do it back-to-back seasons in good cup runs. So hopeful, pessimistic, just gotta fingers crossed and go for it.
What's a random FA Cup game for you, Josh, in your minimal years on this planet? Just give me a random one. Don't go for the obvious Man United quarter-final or a semi-final. What's a random FA Cup game?
Here's a nice little story. My first ever away game was Stoke, and beat them 2-0, and Doughty scored the free kick. And I remember it to the day I died. My dad took me. And we had the free kick, and Savile and Doughty were standing over it. And I was like, Savile's taking this, it's the left foot. And my dad was like, no, Doughty's going to take it. I was like, Dad, you're stupid. Savile's taking this. And then Doughty took it and scored. I was like, you know what, maybe he does know everything.
Defend it like Doc. Doherty's free kick was that superb on the day. People just tend to forget that Helder Costa did a somersault celebration and never done it again after that. What's a random FA Cup game for you, Andy?
Was it Chesterfield we played and it was freezing cold? It was at home. And I'm sure we had a streaker because I vaguely remember 3 or 4 stewards chasing someone around the pitch.
Was that Rochdale?
Rochdale, yeah.
He was on TV as well, wasn't he? Alan
Trust you to pick the erotic moment of an FA Cup tenure of a football club. I think I was on Sky TV, literally behind the net, because I think it was like I was back in my early South Bank days that time. 2. And I think George and Darren Kenny Miller scored. Someone have to clarify that.
Yeah, it was on the BBC because they put the BBC stuff right by the South Bank where I stood, and Alan Hansen and all them walked past us. So it was definitely on the BBC that night.
Give me an FA Cup game for you, Ed.
Newcastle 3-2. It was February, near my birthday, I think, or it was was it the 4th round, that one, or the 3rd round? It was cold, and I'd insisted on just going in my shirt and jeans, and I was absolutely frozen. And it was probably a good job we won because I think I would have got hypothermia if I hadn't been jumping around.
I think it might have been the round after Rochdale, but there's going to be a lot of clarification tonight that I'm going to be requiring. Rich, for you, give me an FA Cup game that stands out for you.
Well, you probably as usual one. It's the Sheffield Wednesday Pens.
Yeah, what a shout! Oh,
94.
Waddle.
The reason I was sat in a steep ball, freezing to death as usual, like I always did back then as a kid. Like saying, not dressed appropriately, but seeing Kevin Pressman score one in the top bin that you'll probably never see again ever. Best penalty I've ever seen. Yeah, Paul Jones, saviour of the day, wasn't he? So
twice because it was a replay, wasn't it? He saved the penalty from Chris Williams at Hillsborough. Oh, those are the days, Tom.
I can't get past that now. He's trumped that Sheffield Wednesday. It's got. I remember being really, really young. And was it Chris Waddle? Was it Chris Waddle? And literally like an angry little kid, like at the TV, just thinking, "Oh, you know, even at that age." And then, what a memory. Yeah, that or the Arsenal one, but yeah, those two got to be the standouts.
Seeing John DeWolf basically jeering Chris Waddle as he was walking up to take the penalties. I'm one of those sad acts that literally every now and then there'll be like a 95-96 season review put on YouTube before just to fall asleep to on the settee. It's peaceful watching Steve Bull score an header against Oldham on a Tuesday night. Player of the season for Wolves 24-25 season. I'll come to you first, Tom. You've already gone for Rodrigo Gomez, top goal scorer, so he's possibly going to be in the running for player of the season if he is top goal scorer.
I'll go Lamina, and I think he'll take the captaincy and he'll lead from the front. He'll thrive. Comes across as someone that likes the responsibility. He came across as someone that was the captain, even though he wasn't the captain, even when Kilman was there. So I think he'll take it, lead by example as well. I'm quite excited as well because João Gomez seems to be getting better and better. But I think Lamina will just be that anchor point for us. And if you lose your anchor and control of the middle of the pitch, you're in deep trouble in the Premier League. So I think he'll be the most influential. Of course, you've got to score goals. I think he'll probably be the most influential for us.
Josh, where's your player of the season vote this year? And don't give it to Alex Ray because the club will fiddle it and give it Henry Kamara. You're too young for that, Josh. Forget it. Carry on.
My boring shout's Cunha. My bold shout is Mascara. I really feel like after watching pre-season, like a bit different in it. Like I don't know, I feel like he could potentially like transform us almost. A lot of pressure on him, but I really fancy him to have like an amazing season. It'd be nice to see like the loan system work out for us and him have an amazing season, and then he like transform our defence and follows us to Europe. You know, with like loads of clean sheets and proves why we sold Kilman, but. Cunha's my boring answer. Yerson's my bold shout.
I've started. I mean, I'll come to the league position prediction in a minute, Josh. And I hope you aren't contradicting yourself because you've gone for Mosquera to be player of the season. It gives me Richard Stearman in the Championship season player of the season, and we just didn't really do much, did we? If a defender's getting your player of the season, it doesn't suggest a very positive season. Does it?
That is a fair comment.
Where's your player of the season?
Well, laughably, Josh had mine as well. Just by seeing him the last couple of weeks with what he's like, his passing, his range, he looks calm, but Mascara. But yeah, I think I had Rodrigo Gomez. He's the left field one you'd think that's going to come in, going to play quite a bit by the look of it, depending on whether he settles well enough. By the look of it, he's at the ground running. So I think, Gomez for me, really.
Ed?
I'm going down the Henry Kamara route because I think we're all gonna go misty-eyed over João Gomez and worry that he's going to leave. So we're going to all vote for him at the end of the season in the hope that he becomes like a weird Neves type figure and he doesn't leave us for a couple more years. So I think he's going to be like a bit like what Tom said. I think him and Lamina are going to be key to how we do this season, and I just think that he's probably going to get more and more minutes in the Brazil squad this season. He's going to probably be Chelsea's 75th signing next summer. for
75th signing in that transfer window.
Just that transfer. And
10-year contract.
If they're signing Caicedo for 100 and whatever Frenzo, I think João Gomez is better than both of those players. So I think we're going to go down the route of don't leave us, give us one more year, please.
And coming to you last.
I'm going to have to go with the boring answer to end it. I think it's Matheus Cunha.
Steve Bull. Oh.
Steve, yeah. Cunha, I think he's going to be the glue that binds this team. Like, I know that he's not got the captain's armband, but he's such an influential player without it that everyone seems to love him. You see how everyone flocks to him. Even last season when Kilman had the armband, he was the main man. And I think if it is going to be that he's going to be drifting into the middle, he's going to be the one pulling strings in the attack. So I think everything good that's going to happen next year, I think he's going to come via Mateus Cunha.
I said that the other day after the Pedro Neto sale, didn't I, Josh? If we could just sort of magic that transfer fee into keeping Cunha fit for all 38 games, I don't see why a top half finish isn't within our reach. He's a special player. Obviously, we spent big money on him, but if he plays like he did last season and he's able to play a bit more games, he will be justifying that transfer fee. The last one of the Wolves section is, where are you predicting Wolves finish in the league this season? So based on your Cunha and Mosquera nominations, Josh, where are we finishing in the league this season under Gary O'Neill?
10th. I'll go bold 10th. I just see like about there. Do you know what I mean? I feel a little bit underwhelmed now we've sold Neto. Like I feel like we're a little bit short, and obviously depends what we do at the end of the window. If we sign 3 like world class players, and that changes. But I feel like talks of Europe, I want to stay quite grounded. I got baited in with that large summer where we signed Klojcic, Nunes and all that. Stay grounded. 10th, I think that would represent good progress as well.
Yeah, I don't think a 10th place finish wouldn't be a bad turnaround. Like I said, year-on-year progression. Gary O'Neill's sort of trying to bring in a new style of play with the back four, it's looking like. So you've got to give it a bit of bedding time, and hopefully we can make it a successful season. Tom, league position for Wolves for you?
Oh, I feel like I'm in trouble if I feel like I'm getting carried away. I was going to go 8th, but I'll go conservative and go 9th.
I did my odds checker £1 million league predictor yesterday, and I think I went for 11th with Wolves, and it's literally from sort of 5th or 6th downwards. It's a lottery with teams. I think I had Chelsea finishing 9th. They could easily finish top 4, but they're an absolute lottery of a club at the moment. Can Villa do well with Champions League campaign to contend with? Newcastle haven't got Champions League this year. Can they finish back in the top 4 like they did the season before? It's going to be an interesting league, but it's like the Premier League so unforgiving. We have to utilise this Pedro Neto money really well. So it's up to Hobbs and O'Neill to do some magic now. Ed, your league position prediction?
Yeah, I've gone 9th, same as Tom. So I think we'll be pretty comfortable. The new back four, it'll probably take a while to bed in. We've not got the easiest of starts, but I think we'll be comfortable. And let's have a little outside tilt at maybe getting into the Mickey Mouse European Cup, and we'll win that if West Ham come in it. We can.
Oh, go on.
I would bite your hands off, Ed, for Wolves to be back in the European Conference League. I need my hands to do stuff like this. So yeah, that's the league position. Did I come to you, Andy, on that one?
No.
Go on.
Like, it's heart versus head here because I really want us to push on, but a lot of other clubs have had quite a decent summer, so I think we're going to be somewhere in the middle of it all. Like 10th is reasonable. I can see a top half finish in the future. As you say, it's progression on last year, and we do have to take into account that we are trying to change the way we're playing. So we are going to have a couple of games which just aren't going to go our way whilst we get used to it. So I'll be happy with 10th, no danger of relegation.
I wasn't going to bring this question up, but I'm going to ask it you, Andy, and I'm going to go for a quick break just for our podcast advert moment. Where do you think West Ham are going to finish under Lopetegui this season? Because they've given him a barrel load of money. But I said just from 4th, 5th down, it's an absolute lottery of teams. But with the amount of money that West Ham will spend, their owners will be expecting him to be in and around that league table finish. So where's Lopetegui finishing with West Ham for you?
I mean, they've spent Champions League money almost, haven't they? Let's be honest. And I look at that team and I think, oh, you'll do fine, but will you finish higher than 8th? Probably not. Like, on the basis of things, I think 8th would be poor for them, but I feel that's probably about where they are. But when you've spent that much money, if you're not in the Champions League running, what the fuck are you doing? Plus, we know that Lopetegui's teams give up big chances, and they've just signed Kilman, who likes to give up a chance. So, yeah.
It's all going to end in tears. There'll be no bubbles, just pure tears. We'll be going for a quick break now for our Sports Social Podcast Network adverts, and then we'll be right back. for the Wolf Fancast. I'm Little Dan. On this section, we just brought up two Lopetegui game. We all hope he gets relegated. Who are we predicting to finish in the bottom three of the Premier League this season? Obviously, the three promoted sides, Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester, will be favourites with the bookies. Yeah, Leicester are odds-on favourites to finish bottom at the moment, to be relegated 4-9, followed by Ipswich and then Southampton. I'm going to come back to you first on this one, Andy. Who's your three to get relegated this season?
I think Leicester are going to get a point deduction, and that's going to screw them up for the season. I think they'll probably get slapped hard as well from all the early news has been. So they might be in danger of like struggling to clear 0 points by the end of it if things go particularly badly. So yeah, I think Leicester, like it's a toss. I think Southampton will be the survivor of the three because they've got the experience in the league. I think Ipswich might do a Burnley and they'll try and play pretty football and quickly realise that ain't going to work. So, yeah, I think Ipswich, Leicester, and then, I mean, it's a toss-up really between probably... You know what? I reckon it's going to be Fulham. I don't know why. I think there's going to be one club who's just going to shit out, and I have a funny feeling it might be Fulham this year.
There has been a while that a club out of nowhere has gone down that not many expected at the start of the season. You can get Fulham to be relegated at 6-1. That might sound decent odds, but Wolves are 4-1. It's stuff to think about there. We're not talking about relegation on this show because we're the positive channel. Tom, who are your three to get relegated from the Premier League?
I can't look back. It's a boring answer, but you can, if I'm honest, you can't look past the three promoted clubs. I think the gulf is just too. The gulf is too big. I thought, arguably, I thought Brentford, if they lost Tony and a few key players, maybe would they struggle. But even bringing up Fulham, they've got. I think the manager's too strong in terms of they've been there, they've done that, and they know what it takes to get out of it. I think it's got to be Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester. Leicester probably the most likely with what they've got to stay up. But if the point deduction comes in, then they are done. So those three.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with the Albion fan at work today, just because I like to talk to him when they get knocked out by the cup by Fleetwood. I go out my way to find him. And Albion, it was a funny comment saying that there's levels to this now that they get knocked out before we even enter the competition. But I was talking about that game at the Orphans earlier on this year. We won 2-0 on the day. We didn't really get out of second gear. That shows how big the gulf is now between the Premiership and the Championship. And even though it is the boring answer, Tom, I can't really see past it. I think Leicester are going to struggle. I know Jamie Vardy can drink all the Red Bull he likes, but he ain't going to be scoring a lot in this league anymore. And you look at sort of their defence. Their defence is still pretty woeful. Now they've got that Belgian face at centre half, and now Connor Cody gets minutes here and there.
See that face in the Championship? He looked like Johan Cruyff. He was great. One of my best friends is a Leicester fan. He's such a good player. When he played in the Premiership, he was absolutely terrible, which just shows you the difference. It's completely different gravy, isn't it?
Ed, your predictions?
Yeah, I've gone with, I think it's probably going to be the three that have come up. But I'm not sleeping on Brentford being the team that get dragged into it. Well, I think Ivan Toney toys out the pram. He's definitely got that in him. He's done it before, and he's wanted to leave for a while, hasn't he? If they're looking to shop Wissa, the person they brought in, the Brazilian guy for 30-odd million or whatever it was, he's injured until January, isn't he? I just don't see them scoring many goals. And let's not forget they've got Nathan Collins at the back.
Can't argue with that. Some called Nathan Collins a Rolls Royce, and he's just...
How much did we sell him for as well? That was the greatest mystery,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
25 mil, made a bit of profit on him. Frankie Brentford, Frankie Thomas Frank. Rich, you're free to get relegated. I know Ed just mentioned Brentford. Brentford are 5-1 to get relegated. And Matt Bradley in the comments section has also said, I'll be optimistic and predict the chickens finally come home to roost for Man City with their 115 charges. What's odds for them to get relegated? The best odds you can get on Odds Checker for Man City to get relegated, 16-1. So there is an air of plausibility there, but when you're looking at Arsenal to get relegated 2,500-1 and Liverpool 2,000-1, 16-1 seems to think that Odds Checker may think there is a possibility. I don't know if Man City are even going to get punished. They might get a slap on the wrist. I'm of the conspiracy theory that the Premier League will refuse to punish Man City because of the fear of a domino effect that if Man City get punished, Man City say, sod this, we're leaving the league, we join forces with Barcelona, Real Madrid and a couple of Italian teams. Once that league starts building, the likes of Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool will shit their pants on the fear of missing out on big money, and that's where the collapse of English football occurs. Quote me on that. Rich, I've already come to you for the bottom three, haven't I?
No, Southampton, Ipswich, and Forest for me. I'm more hopeful for Forest to shit the bed and go down, to be honest. The old sleeping giant, big team and all that. You remember when we won things? Couldn't give a toss, can't stand them, get them down.
Forest didn't actually end the season too badly, though, did they? Under Nuno, I think Chris Wood turned into like prime R9 to a degree towards the back end of the season. Scored a hat trick away at Newcastle. They have got some good forward players in Anthony Elanga and Hudson-Odoi. Don't want to bring up the Stafford lad. Defensively, they're still a bit weak, and they've got similar numbers to goalkeepers to Chelsea. Sorry, that was Daniel Prudence spitting on him for a minute there. I digest, I digress. Next round is who's winning the Premier League Golden Boot, and if anyone could be a bit more bold, let's say who's going to win the Premiership Golden Boot apart from Erling Haaland. I'll come to you first, Josh.
Isak at Newcastle. I really think he's a proper striker. I'm such a big fan. And you watch Newcastle, and he does make the difference. And like Newcastle to me are like a proper half 12 on a Saturday kickoff game. I don't know what it is. They always seem to be on at half 12 on a Saturday. They played Tottenham at half 12. They played West Ham at half 12 on a Saturday last year. I think there seemed to be a proper half 12 on a Saturday kickoff. And Isak, I think he's an absolute beast. So enjoyable to watch. And Eddie seems to get the best out of him. So if you're going different from Haaland, I think Isak could quite easily score 18, 19 Premier League goals.
That was what I sort of implied earlier. The fact that Newcastle haven't got Champions League to contend with this season. If Newcastle can keep Isak and Anthony Gordon fit, they'll be in and around the top six for me again this season. I did sort of raise my really thick eyebrows when Newcastle signed Alexander Isak for like 60 plus million, whatever it was, but he's properly justifying that fee now. Andy, your Golden Boot prediction?
If he goes to Spurs, I can see Solanke having a great year because he looked great last season. He just knew where the net was, and I think at Spurs he's more likely to get more chances. But he does hinge on that move for me because if he doesn't, then has he? Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's been.
Didn't realise he did. Oh yeah, so I'm going with Solanke. I think he's going to break through. I think he might even end the season as like maybe not first choice England, but maybe first choice backup for England.
It's not a bad show. You can get Dominic Solanke at 20-1. Best odds on odds checker 20-1 for Dominic Solanke. Probably the number 9 that Tottenham have been crying out for since Harry Kane's left. I think Richardson's had a goal there. They've played Son through the middle a few times. Kulusevski's been playing through the middle a few times during pre-season for Tottenham, but I still don't really rate Kulusevski, even though he scored against us last season. Tom, your Golden Boot prediction?
If I was playing it more safe, apart from obviously the obvious one, I go Palmer. Because if he performed that well in a Chelsea team, if the Chelsea, they're a lottery, aren't they? But if they did finish top 4, he's going to be the main man for them. And if he banged, how many goals? He's got over 20 goals for them in how poor they were. If they're good, there you go. You're at 30. And if I went super wild, maybe Nunes at Liverpool. Because if they turn it on and their manager does well and he gets the best out of them, maybe. But I know that's a bit of a wild one. But there's where my two £10 notes could go.
I don't want to wish Liverpool well, but I have got Darwin Núñez in my fantasy draft team. So if he's finishing top goal scorer, I wouldn't be against it. I'm a no-lose situation type of guy. I've also gone for Bukayo Saka as my first draft pick. So if either of them two do well, I'm doing well in fantasy. If they do terrible, then their clubs ain't doing well. I love a no-lose situation. You can get Cole Palmer at 20-1, and you can get Darwin Núñez at 30-1. Ed, your prediction?
Yeah, I had Cole Palmer. I'd I don't think Chelsea are going to do very well this season, to spoiler one of the other things coming up. But he takes all the penalties, he takes all the free kicks. He's basically the only player there that seems to be able to function. So I reckon whatever they do will be through him again this year, regardless of who else they brought in. So I went with Palmer.
Yeah, he literally does that, doesn't he? He takes the penalties, takes the free kicks, writes the theme tune, sings the theme tune. Yep. Have you heard Chelsea's chant for Pedro Neto? Chelsea, Chelsea. Anyway,
I like that.
Rich, your Golden Boot prediction?
I'm going to say Son at Spurs, to be honest. Such a talent, he is world class, even in that average Spurs side. But obviously, bar Haaland, obviously. But yeah, I'd say Sonny, to be honest.
Yeah, Sonny is the same odds as Kai Havertz at 33-1.
Wow,
not a bad shout. Son at 33-1. Have I missed anyone out on that round? Nope. Tom, you could have went really positive and had Matthias Cunha at 125-1.
I'm not. Yeah. All right. I'm optimistic, but I'm not delusional. He'll probably be our top goal scorer if I was being sensible. But he's not going to get above 20 goals, is he? Is he?
Who knows? Hopefully. But remember, Daniel Powlins is finishing top goal scorer for Wolves this season at 25-1. The next round in our prediction show is who's getting the sack first out of the Premier League managers this season, because the odds checkers have currently got Eddie Howe favourite at best odds of 8-1, followed by Eric Ten Hag. Who's your prediction to be sacked first, Josh?
Great question, that is. Ooh,
lottery. This one is.
Don't know.
It's got to be the Chelsea manager.
That feels too obvious. That does. That probably a bit more outrageous.
He's had a bad pre-season though, hasn't he, Maresca? And
he's had a stinker.
He's not a big enough name.
Doesn't seem to know his ass from his elbow.
I think Eddie is actually very bold, isn't it? No, I'm gonna go Steve Cooper. I just feel like they're gonna absolutely suck Leicester, and then they're going to have a point deduction on top, and he might resign as well. I don't know, but I can just see Leicester like going, we'll bring in Big Sam to firefight for like 6 months and see what he can do.
It'd be interesting to see if like Chelsea do have a bad start, if Todd Bowley can keep his nerve, because they can't just keep chopping managers and bringing in 40 players a transfer window. It's something is up with their transfer recruitment policy, and I said in my WhatsApp group the other day, I'm excited to see where this ends up, because it's going to be something new in football for my eyes. Tom, where's your money at?
It's got to be the Chelsea. What's he? Maresca? Is that
Enzo Maresca is best odds 10-1 to be sacked first.
He's not a big enough name. He'll panic. He'll be gone. I think Steve Cooper's a great shout as well. I think when you come from Forest as well, it's harder to get the fans behind you and back into in time stuff that might turn a bit quicker. But because he's not a big name, he'll be gone. There's no way. If they don't get good points in their first 5 to 10 games, he's off.
Andy,
what are the odds on him on Maresca?
Best odds 10-1.
That's got to be worth.
He's third favourite behind Howe and Ten Hag. Go on, Ed. Sorry.
20 quid on that easy. That's a good thing.
Ed, I'll come to you first, Andy. I asked you first.
I've got a funny like I was going to say Cooper, but I think if they do get a points deduction, I think that will sort of cover him really, because he's then expected to do nothing.
He may have been brought in to get them back up as well, minor.
Exactly. Whereas Russell Martin, I think if Southampton start really badly, I could see him cutting loose there and just saying, we'll go with someone with a bit more experience in the league. So Russell Martin. But I absolutely understand why Eddie Howe and Ten Hag are the two favourites. Like, I do think it'll probably be one of those two, but my outside bet would be Russell Martin at Southampton.
Russell Martin is same odds as Sean Dyche, 14-1.
Why would it be Eddie Howe though? What's the logic?
I think with Eddie Howe, because they didn't finish very high last season, I think they had a bit of a stumble over the line over the last few months, if they don't hit the ground running this season and start pushing to get back into Europe. I mean, obviously, we don't know a lot about these owners, but they do seem to be quite cutthroat. So potentially could see them cutting the head off the club and moving on.
That was
Amanda Staveley was a big fan as well, wasn't she? Amanda Staveley's gone, and she was one of Eddie Howe's biggest supporters and backers. So I think that's the reason why the odds are probably short on him, is because there was a change at the top, and it often means that there's going to be a change.
It may be that the owners are pillaging money into Eddie Howe being the first one to get sacked. Who knows? Rich, your prediction to get sacked and to be out of a job approaching Christmas, and no one wants to see anyone losing their job before Christmas.
Mine was laughing the same as Andy, Russell Martin or Nuno at Forest again. It's wishful thinking, hopefully, though.
Yeah, Nuno is fourth favourite behind Maresca at 10-1 odds to be sacked by Forest. I don't want to see Nuno without a job at Christmas, but he can come and manage the academy if he does get sacked. Any sort of standout managers? Obviously, Andy mentioned Russell Martin, Kieran McKenna at Ipswich. If the Ipswich owners become a bit tetchy, if they get off to a bad start, you can get Kieran McKenna at best odds at 20-1 to get sacked. And then you've got the likes of Pep, Emery, and Arteta, who are the bookies, and pretty much saying they've got no chance of being sacked. So be interested to see who wins the lottery of being sacked first in the Premier League this season. The next section is, who are we saying is going to be the flop of the season in the Premier League 24-25? It can be a Wolves player, it can be an opposition club or manager or player. Who's going to be the flop of the season this year, Ed?
I've got a player and a team, so I think Villa are going to flop. I don't think Ollie Watkins is going to hit the ground running second in 2 seasons on the trot. And I think just because West Ham have signed him, Fulkrug's not going to do anything, because West Ham is where strikers go to die. So they're my 2. I don't see Villa being able to battle on all those different fronts. And I think they relied a lot last year on a good player, but only a good player having an outstanding season. And I just think it will level out a bit this season, I think.
They've sold Douglas Luiz, they've sold Moussa Diaby, and they're pretty much a 2-man team for me. If Emi Martinez and Ollie Watkins don't fire for them, they're going to struggle this season. But they are the jammiest football club in the history of the game. So you can predict Aston Villa to win the league at... I've got it here somewhere. I don't care enough to tell you. Tom, who's going to flop this season?
Well, it's probably not the most. I think Chelsea will just have a horrific campaign. I think that Fernandes with his Argentinian or French chants, and that coming back to the dressing room, signing 40 players or however many players, 8-9 year contracts, that discontent. My brain just kind of struggles to think, how the heck would that ever be a recipe for success? You've never seen that work before. It doesn't look like it would work in any way, shape or form. They've got a manager who hasn't been proven with those players on those wages, those big egos. The amount of change, if a player's doing racist chants and then coming back into the dressing room, if he's not really...
And getting the vice captaincy.
Exactly. What the heck does that say if I'm from France? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you have no continuity in the club, so they could be in deep doo-doo.
It's a mad bet. Bet365 are the only company offering this market at the moment, where you can get Chelsea to be bottom on Christmas Day at 40-1.
Is this how you spend your... How do you find these odds?
Odds checker. It's the market for markets. Rich, who's going to flop this season?
I've got De Ligt for United at centre back. There's a reason why he's left Juve and a reason why he's left Munich. So I hope he flops there, because he's got a partner with Maguire in the day, hasn't he? So yeah, I would say him, and Chelsea as well. To be honest,
you can't
be having a squad of 7 goalkeepers.
Rich, you've missed the biggest reason why De Ligt's going to flop. He couldn't get in front of Eric Dyer at Bayern Munich.
Well, there is that, yeah. It does have a stumbling block in life, but there's a reason why he's left there. He's just not good enough. He can't be. It's a strange move. I know, it's a lot of money as well for him, but delete for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it might go right for Ten Hag because he's got a really good record of bringing players from the Dutch league and making them superstars in the Premier League. Look at Anthony, for instance. Josh, who's flopping in the Premier League this season for you?
Well, I've got West Ham. It can only go one way. It's got the reminiscence of when Pellegrini joined there and they thought they'd signed Felipe Anderson and all that. And you thought, God, they're in for a storm here. And then they did absolutely feckle with it. You can just see it happening again. It's so obvious, isn't it? My other one, I'm expecting another stinker of a season with VAR. Wolves in particular. Another absolute stinker of a season. We're going to need 60 points to stay up this season rather than the normal 40 that you need because they're going to take that many off us. I think if they get half a chance of taking it from us, they're going to do that.
Andy, where's your prediction for the flop of the season?
I wasn't sure if you meant like Wolf specific or a general one. So I do have a player I think might struggle for us. And I have got a club that I think will underperform. So the Wolf specific one, I have a funny feeling Chiquinho might not do quite what we hope. And I think either he gets shipped out before the end of the month because he does feck all, he gets a couple of chances and just shits the bed for us. Or he might end up going somewhere in January. I worry that he's not going to get the game time that he needs to develop. So Chiquinho's the one I'm sort of like 50-50 on within the club. But I think Man United might be the team who probably underperforms the most. Because they're obviously going to have big ambitions of a top 4 finish. And I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up struggling around a similar position to where I think we'll be ending, around 9th, 10th, 11th, something like that. Signed a lot of players again, big money. I don't really think any of the defenders they've signed are that much better than Maguire, to be perfectly honest. And obviously Ten Hag is just a bit of a pretender to the throne, isn't he? So Man United, I think, might be the team who just do absolutely nothing, but have all the ambition in the world.
Man United and Chelsea on paper are so comedic. The fact that before the end of the season, they were sort of trying to approach Tuchel to take over from Eric Ten Hag. Somehow Eric Ten Hag gets a new contract and then they bring in Ruud van Nistelrooy's assistant. It boggles my mind at Man United, how big a club they are and they've run so terribly.
They're more like Harchester United, didn't they? Let's be honest.
At least Harchester United won the FA Cup. I mean, Man United won the FA Cup last season, so that sort of completely detracts from this is why I'm hosting, not on Match of the Day. Surprise of the season, Josh?
Brighton. Oh, really?
Sorry, Josh, I'm going to jump in because Brighton was my flop of the season, and I've got to quickly jump in to say that Brighton my flop of the season. I feel like even with Matoma coming back, I feel on the back end of last season, I think a lot of teams have found Brighton out. They've got a new manager that's come in that doesn't know the Premier League, and that's the reason why Brighton are my flop of the season. But tell me why Brighton are going to surprise the league, Josh.
Well, see, a couple of weeks ago, I was of the same mindset, but I'm looking into like a little bit more of the business. I like the attackers that they've got. They've got some really good attackers. They signed that lad from Mainz who looks like really talented. So I think, okay, it's a bit woke for this like 31-year-old manager. It's very woke, that is, and I'm not keen on that. But I've got a feeling they could be in for a good season. Maybe not like a Europe season. I think they could finish top half.
Fair comment. Rich, your surprise for the season?
It was Bournemouth until they just sold Solanke, to be honest. So it's not a massive club. They punch well above their weight every year. How they're still in the Prem, I'll never know. But yeah, it was going to be them. I don't really think many others are really going to pull a lot of trees up right now. But yeah, I'm going to go Bournemouth still.
Ed?
I'm going to say it's us getting into Europe. Sod it. Why not?
Go on, Eddie, that.
We like that.
No elaboration needed. Book your passports. Ed says we're off to Europe. It ain't even a surprise in Ed's world. We're there.
Well, Tom's shirt's almost as old. Well, not that one, but the original. He's almost as old as the Brighton manager. So that rules him out for me. And I just think, why not? Let's go for it.
Why not? Andy?
My surprise of the season is that Wolverhampton Wanderers will win the Goal of the Season award. We haven't even had a really good goal for quite some time.
We didn't score
I can
outside the
see
box
us-
last season in the league.
Yeah. This season, we're gonna get it's like a David Beckham-esque halfway liner. Mario Lemina is gonna look up, see the keeper off his line, and he's just gonna plant it top bins.
I'm going to go with Pablo Sarabia, goal of the season on the back of yours. I'm going to be slating him 5 minutes before for not beating the first man on the corner, and then he's going to Van Basten one in from 30 yards. Tom, your surprise for the season?
Well, I know Ed said it, but what the odds on Wolves to relegate to what 4-1?
Yeah.
That's a joke, absolute joke.
Yeah.
So to the, I know we're obviously diehard Wolves fans, right? So you tend to get a bit carried away. But based on that, it's got to be us, 100%, because there's no way God's green earth we're going down. And I think we could, if we surprised me so much last season with a really thin, whatever the word is, kind of thin squad. So now we've got a deeper squad. Yes, we've lost Neto, but if we just get what I know it's easier said than done, but we've got a deeper squad with some good attacking players to come on. If we can just lock it up at the back, bish bash bosh, get your passports ready, we're off. Let's do it.
Pablo Sarabia, goal of the season at the Emirates on Saturday, which sets us off on a top 4 hunt, and you can get Wolves to finish in the top 4 this season at 80-1. 80-1 for Wolves to finish top 4.
That seems more likely than us to go down.
I mean, Tom, you are ridiculously biased and positive.
I like how bold that is.
Yeah.
It does seem more like 84-1 to 80-1. Like,
4 times for us to go down is nuts.
yeah, that's just, it's not happening.
Let me
That's
put it
about
this way.
exciting.
Let me put it this way. Wolves are 80-1 to finish in the top 4. Chelsea are 50-1 to get relegated.
The Chelsea can't get relegated though, surely.
But I've said this before. Chelsea are still a scalp for a lot of teams. Teams still raise the games when they go to Stamford Bridge. If they start off in a bad run and these teams are still picking up results and raising the game when they go to Stamford Bridge, it might be like a similar team, like when teams get relegated from the Premier League to the Championship and everyone raises the game against these teams and they struggle to get out and get into a rhythm of results.
You think it was the right club for Neto to go to?
Does anyone here think Neto making the move to Chelsea was the right move?
No.
I get money-wise and I get contract-wise, but career-wise, in terms of...
What numbers are going to have? They've got 90-odd people, so they haven't got enough
number 90
players, have they?
Season.
69.
He could be number 91 though, couldn't he? There's that many players there. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ask any player, I don't know why you would have gone to Chelsea this summer. You said earlier, it's an absolute basket case of a club. So you just avoid it like the plague. But did anyone else come in for Neto? So it's probably a bit of that, to be honest.
Mendes into it as well.
I still find Chelsea for me is still like new money to me. They kind of come in and they flash the cash, but they don't really know what they're doing. I think in my head, they're still like a cup team from the 90s with Gavin Peacock and Eddie Newton. You know what I mean? And I think they still have that mentality that they're this like pretender to the crown, even though they've had recent success. They still it's like they're showing off too much for me. I think it's and he's come in, hasn't he, Todd Bowley, and he's got how he's made any money because he seems to be absolutely nuts when it comes to sporting decisions. So he must have a completely different mindset when it comes to business. Because I mean, they didn't. Who was the manager at the start of last season? Was it Potter when they didn't have enough spaces in the dressing room, literally for anyone to sit down? Did they? They're all in getting changed in the corridor and stuff. And that's the truth. So what are they going to be like now when they've got 8 goalkeepers, like Rich said earlier?
Someone made the comment, does Todd Bowley think you can have an offensive and defensive team during these Premier League games? And then I've also got the conspiracy theory that Roman Abramovich is still pumping money into the club in some form of fashion. You just don't know what's going on at that club. And Andy brought up Harchester United earlier, the script writers for Chelsea, they need to use them to bring back Harchester United because you won't be far off either club there. And the last but one boring prediction for the 24-25 season is, are Man City going to make it 5 out of 5 consecutive Premier League wins? Tom, where's your money for who's winning the league this season?
I think Arsenal will do it this year. It's really hard to go against Pep because Pep is Pep, and he's been there and he's done that. But with how close they pushed them, De Bruyne is. I know, look, they've got so much talent, but De Bruyne is a little bit older. Is he as influential as he was? Him and Haaland partnering up. They've lost Alvarez as well, which I know when you're talking about City, right? But he was coming in with bang. And I know they've got other players that can score goals. But when you're at that elite level, I think Arsenal's squad is solid. He got hit with injuries with that Timber. Is it Timber, that left back as well, that was injured? So they're only going to come back stronger. They've played together for a long period of time. They now know each other. They know how much work you've got to do to get that close. Getting over the line is a different thing, but they're going to be so close if not do it. Very long-winded answer, Arsenal.
Not a fair shout. You can get Arsenal at best odds 15-8. Josh, Man City 5 out of 5.
No, I think Arsenal. I think it's funny. I know no one's ever won 4 but I just can't. 5 in a row, that feels like absolutely ridiculous to see. So I just can't look past City, past Arsenal. I feel like their time is due. The only thing I do think is if Saka, they've not really got the replace, like a backup for him again, after got that quote unquote striker to score you 25 goals. I know City dispelled that, but they're a different team. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's question marks there. Maybe a bit of hangover from the Euros with Rice and Saka, but I don't know. I just can't see City winning 5 in a row.
That's the reason why I'm optimistic going into the game Saturday. I feel on the back of England losing in the final, Arsenal not being in a full rhythm like you see them and Man City, that sort of 10, 15 games of a campaign when they're fully at it. If we're ever going to get a result at the Emirates, Saturday's the time for me. Rich, who's winning the league for you?
City, because you can't win a league with David Raya in goal, basically, for me. City they won 4 in a row for a reason. There's no reason why they can't win another 4 in a row, to be honest with you. They're brilliant. They're annoyingly brilliant. Pep, probably the world's best manager, no doubt about it. They lose Alvarez, like Tom was saying, they'll have someone else that'll either buy out of nowhere or someone will come out of the academy and think, oh, right, that's why they sold him. There's a reason why they got rid of him. But yeah, City for me by a mile.
Andy?
I don't want to say City because it's getting boring, isn't it? Let's be honest. But they've got the experience. They've done it time and again. Arsenal have been nearly men. I think City might do it once more. I don't really want them to. But then again, they're the lesser of two evils because I really don't want Arsenal to do it either. So, yeah, I think City probably going to eke over the line. But again, it's going to be, fucking 91 points and 92 points, the top two, something ridiculous.
I don't particularly want to see Arsenal winning the league, but I don't want Man City to win the league this year. You said you want the league to have a bit of competitive edge to it, and the amount of money that Man City have spent, they've got these 115 charges looming over them. For them to win it for a 5th time in a row really brings a shadow over the league, doesn't it? Obviously, I
think. Sorry, I was just going to say, like as Tom said as well, like a couple of their players, like KDB's just on the outs now. Obviously, they've lost Julian Alvarez, so there's a couple of things that they do need to sort of tweak to get themselves to push on. That's why I don't think that it's going to be a clear race for them this season, because they've only signed Savinho, I believe. That's the only improvement they've made to their squad. And I do think they probably do need a couple more players to really excel. But with those charges hanging over them, they're surely not going to go out and spend 100 million on bringing in superstar midfielder to replace Kevin De Bruyne, because that will really take the piss, won't it, if they're out here splashing cash, knowing that they've got all these charges waiting in the background for them. So, I really don't want it to be City, but lesser of two evils, isn't it?
Yeah, well, lesser of 3 evils, really, if you throw Liverpool in the market as well. I don't think Man City have replaced Gundogan and Mahrez well enough. I mean, I don't think they won the league with a plum last season, Man City, but they still managed to get over the line. So to write them off and predict sort of Arsenal, Liverpool to win the league season is probably bold. You can get Liverpool to win the league title at 7-1, Chelsea and Man United at 25-1, and them lot down the road at 70-1, which I think's an absolute waste of even a pound. Give it to
What are Wolves? I have interest.
You can get Wolves at a solid 1,000-1, which is 5 times less than what Leicester won it with. So basically, we've won it. Thanks for joining myself, Josh, Tom, Andy, Ed, and Rich on tonight's show. We've got one last prediction round, and it's purely based around the upcoming Wolves Content Creators Cup on the 7th of September at Wolves' training ground, where ourselves, the Old Gold Pack, WCRFM, the Wolf Pack, Always Wolves, Talking Wolves, 77 Club, and the Wolves Report are playing a seven-a-side football tournament in hope of raising funds for the club's official charity, the Wolves Foundation. When I last looked, it was over the £2,000 mark. So that's great money for the foundation. If you can help, you can donate at justgiving.com/page/Content Creators Cup 2024. And the last prediction round is who out of the Wolves Fancast team is going to finish top goal scorer at the Content Creators Cup 2024, and why is it me?
I was going to say you anyway, Dan, after that.
Cheers,
Who's on pens? Who's on pens, Dan?
It will most likely be not me, because I'm Rich is in goal, so we may allow Rich to play in goal.
Silva.
Tom's starting to look a little bit puzzled here, but if you realise he left me on, he ghosted me when I asked him if he wanted to play, we wouldn't be having this puzzled look now.
No, well, yeah, it's because I'm going through I don't know, boy, but I'm going through my dieting stage. So I was 3 stone heavier when you asked, so there was no way I was running around a football pitch. I was like Mr. Blobby, whereas now I'm a little bit more nimble, so I'm a little bit sad because I'm a decent finisher, man. So I kind of I back myself to do it, but nevertheless. But it definitely won't be Matt Guy, I'll tell you that. I've played football with Matt Guy and I've seen his finishing firsthand, and it is shocking.
Matt Guy is our what we like to call the enforcer. He's there to bulldoze and nothing more. Jeffo will be captaining the side at Wolves Fancast. As we mentioned on the last show, in recent months, we've lost our defensive. How do I word it? We've lost Gully to Talking Wolves. And this is my warning shot to Gully and Talking Wolves and all the rest of the sides. We're coming there to do business. Like I said, hopefully you can help us raise money for the Wolves Foundation via the Just Giving page. So, like I said earlier, and like the guys have said with their predictions, Wolves winning the league this season, Cunha's finishing golden boot, Pablo Sarabia's winning goal of the season, and we'll be back on Sunday, hopefully reviewing a good Wolves result away at the Emirates. Thanks for joining us. Follow up Wolves Fancast on social media. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you soon.